I'm Megan Davis, 35 years old, and last Christmas I thought hosting dinner in my new home would finally earn my family's respect. After years climbing the corporate ladder as a financial analyst, this celebration meant everything. I'd even invested my savings to help with my mother's house renovation, hoping to mend our fractured relationship. While preparing the turkey, the kitchen became stifling, so I opened the window for fresh air. What I overheard shattered my heart instantly. If you're watching this now, drop a comment telling me where you're from, hit subscribe, and stay for a story about the Christmas that changed everything. Growing up, I was always the responsible one. When other teenagers worried about prom dresses and football games, I worried about making sure bills were paid, and my younger sister Amanda had what she needed for school. Our parents divorced when I was 15, leaving my mother Judith emotionally devastated and financially strapped. As the older child, I stepped into a parental role for Amanda, who was only 8 at the time. My mother never fully acknowledged my sacrifices. She doted on Amanda, calling her the sunshine child, while treating me like the dependable appliance you never need to thank. I was the one who made honor roll, who worked part-time jobs throughout high school, who secured scholarships for college. Meanwhile, Amanda was allowed to focus solely on being creative and finding herself. Despite this unbalanced dynamic, I desperately wanted my family's approval. After graduating with a finance degree, I landed an entry-level position at Marshall Financial Services. Over 12 years, I worked my way up to senior financial analyst, often staying at the office until midnight and sacrificing my personal life for career advancement. Each promotion felt hollow without my family's genuine pride. 6 months before that fateful Christmas, I had finally saved enough for a down payment on a modest 3-bedroom home in a good neighborhood. It wasn't extravagant, but it was mine, representing years of disciplined saving and careful planning. Just 1 week after closing, my mother called in tears. The contractor found black mold in the walls. "Megan," she sobbed over the phone, "the insurance won't cover it, and the repairs will cost at least $50,000. Amanda doesn't have any savings, and you know my pension barely covers my expenses." I felt that familiar tightness in my chest. The implied expectation hung in the air, unspoken but heavy. Despite having just depleted my savings for my down payment, I heard myself saying, "I can help, Mom. I'll transfer some money from my investment account." My mother's relief was palpable. "You've always been so good with money, Megan. We're lucky to have you." Those words fed a starving part of my soul. Maybe this time, my financial sacrifice would translate into emotional connection. Maybe this Christmas, in my new home, I could finally feel like my family valued me for more than my wallet. I spent 3 full days preparing for Christmas. On December 22nd, I decorated every inch of my house with twinkling lights, fragrant garlands, and family photos carefully selected to highlight happy moments together. I assembled a magnificent artificial tree, adorning it with ornaments collected over years, including several handmade by Amanda during childhood that my mother had given me when she decided to switch to a more modern decorating theme. On December 23rd, I braved the holiday crowds at Westfield Mall, determined to find perfect gifts for everyone. For my mother, I selected an expensive cashmere sweater in her favorite shade of blue, along with a spa gift certificate. For Amanda, I purchased the high-end drawing tablet she had been coveting for her graphic design projects, despite its eye-watering price tag. I even bought thoughtful gifts for Amanda's boyfriend Tyler, whom I'd only met twice, and my Aunt Catherine, who was joining us from Colorado. My credit card winced with each purchase, but I pushed aside financial concerns. This Christmas was about investing in relationships, not money. As I carried shopping bags to my car, I fantasized about their faces lighting up when opening these carefully selected presents. Maybe Amanda would finally hug me without that air of reluctance. Maybe my mother would look at me with the same adoration she reserved for my sister. That evening, I called my best friend Olivia, the only person who truly understood my complicated family dynamics. I spent way too much on gifts, I confessed, curled up on my couch with a glass of wine. Of course you did, Olivia sighed. Megan, we've talked about this. You can't buy their love, you know. It's not about buying love, I protested, though we both knew that wasn't entirely true. It's about creating a special Christmas. They're my family. Just don't expect too much, Olivia cautioned. I don't want to see you hurt again. I dismissed her concerns. This time would be different. I had my own home now. I was hosting. The power dynamic had shifted. December 24th dawned bright and cold. I woke at 5:30, too excited to sleep. Today I would prepare all the traditional family recipes passed down from my grandmother. The menu was ambitious. Roast turkey with chestnut stuffing, honey-glazed ham, scalloped potatoes, green bean casserole, cranberry sauce from scratch, 3 different pies, and my grandmother's famous Parker House rolls. As I measured, chopped, and stirred, I imagined my mother finally acknowledging that I had mastered Grandma's recipes even better than she had. Perhaps Amanda would ask for cooking tips instead of rolling her eyes at my boring domesticity. Maybe this meal would become a new tradition, with my home as the heart of family gatherings. Each dish represented more than food. They were edible peace offerings, seasoned with hope and a desperate desire for connection. By 11 o'clock on Christmas Eve morning, my kitchen looked like a battlefield. Flour dusted every surface, vegetable peelings overflowed the compost bin, and a small army of mixing bowls stood in precarious towers. The turkey, an 18-pounder, brined overnight according to a gourmet recipe, was already in the oven, filling the house with mouth-watering aromas. The doorbell rang just as I was crimping the edges on my second pie crust. Wiping my hands on my festive apron, I hurried to greet my family, heart fluttering with anticipation. My mother arrived first, elegant as always in a designer pantsuit that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. Her blonde hair, recently highlighted, was swept into a perfect chignon. "The house looks nice," she said, air-kissing my cheek to avoid smudging her makeup. Though I would have gone with white lights instead of multicolored, more sophisticated. Before I could respond, Amanda bounced through the door, her boyfriend Tyler trailing behind carrying their overnight bags. At 28, my sister still managed to project an aura of carefree youth that I had never possessed, even as a child. "Wow, Megan, you went full suburban mom with the decorations, didn't you?" Amanda laughed, gesturing at my carefully arranged nativity scene. "It's very traditional." I forced a smile. "I thought it would be nice to incorporate some of Grandma's decorations." "Super cute," Amanda replied in a tone that suggested the opposite. Tyler shot me an apologetic glance behind her back. Aunt Catherine arrived last, bringing a bottle of wine and actually giving me a genuine hug. "The place looks wonderful, Megan. So warm and inviting." That single sincere compliment carried me through the next hour of subtle critiques disguised as casual observations. My mother inspected my living room with the critical eye of an interior designer planning a complete overhaul. Amanda flopped onto my sofa and immediately began scrolling through her phone, occasionally showing Tyler something that made them both laugh. "Lunch is just sandwiches and soup," I called from the kitchen. "I want to save our appetites for dinner." "Perfect. I'm watching my carbs anyway," my mother replied, though she had never once restricted her diet in my memory. "Catherine, come. See the photos of the renovation progress on my bathroom. The Italian marble was absolutely worth the extra expense." As they chatted about renovation details, I returned to my kitchen sanctuary. The temperature had risen significantly with the oven running for hours. Sweat beaded on my forehead as I checked the turkey's temperature. Desperate for fresh air, I unlatched the window above the sink and pushed it open, sighing with relief. As the December chill swept in, voices drifted up from the backyard patio directly below. My sister and mother must have stepped outside for a cigarette, a habit my mother denied having despite ample evidence to the contrary. I can't believe we're spending Christmas with that loser. Amanda's voice carried clearly through the open window. My hands froze around the basting brush. Just until she pays for the house renovation, my mother replied, her voice lower but still perfectly audible. The contractor needs the second installment by January 15th. I'm ready to take her. Share too, Amanda said with a laugh that sounded nothing like the girlish giggle she affected around me. My stomach dropped. Surely I had misheard or misunderstood. I inched closer to the window, staying out of sight. Did she actually believe you need $50,000 for bathroom mold? Amanda continued, her voice dripping with contempt. The entire renovation only cost $30,000. The extra $20,000 is for my trip to Bali with Tyler. Megan has always been gullible, my mother replied. Remember when we convinced her that her college graduation conflicted with your dance recital? She actually skipped her own ceremony because she thought it would hurt your feelings if she missed you performing as tree number 3. They both laughed, the sound like ice water down my spine. My sister and mother had deliberately prevented me from attending my graduation ceremony, a day I had earned through years of working full-time while maintaining a 3.9 GPA. I gripped the counter to steady myself. Have you seen this place? Amanda continued. Beige walls, basic furniture, family photos everywhere. God, she's so desperate it's embarrassing. And wait until you see what she got me for Christmas. I peeked, in the bag she had in her office. An artist tablet, like I'm still into that hobby drawing phase. Well, the tablet can be returned for cash, my mother said pragmatically. And don't forget why we're really here. Your grandmother left more in her trust than we initially thought. Megan's portion is substantial, and with the right persuasion, we might convince her to invest in your business idea. The air quotations were audible in her tone. I had been preparing to contribute to Amanda's proposed graphic design freelance business, believing her passionate pitch about needing startup capital. She'll do it, Amanda said confidently. Megan always does what we want. She's so pathetically eager for approval. Footsteps approached, and I heard my Aunt Catherine's voice join them. What are you two plotting out here? It's freezing. Just discussing Christmas strategy, my mother said smoothly. We need to make sure Megan commits to the rest of the renovation payment before we leave. And ideally get her to back my business too, Amanda added. You two never change, Aunt Catherine sighed. Though I must admit, Megan is an easy target, always trying to buy affection with those expensive gifts and elaborate meals. Speaking of meals, my mother said, we should head back in. But remember, extra compliments on the food. The more validated she feels, the more generous she'll be when we bring up the money. Tyler doesn't know about any of this, by the way, Amanda added. He actually likes Megan, can you believe it? Says she's genuine, whatever that means. Well, don't let him ruin things, my mother warned. We need Megan in a good mood tomorrow when we discuss finances. They continued talking as they moved. Toward the back door, their voices fading. I stood frozen at the sink, turkey baster still clutched in my trembling hand. The carefully constructed narrative of my family life crumbled around me like a sand castle hit by a tidal wave. Every sacrifice, every attempt at connection, every financial bailout over the years suddenly appeared in a new and horrible light. I wasn't the responsible daughter helping her family. I was the family ATM, valued only for what I could provide materially. Memories flooded back with sickening clarity. My mother's sudden warmth, whenever she needed money for a temporary shortfall. Amanda's brief periods of sisterly affection coinciding precisely with her financial emergencies. The renovation money was just the latest in a long line of manipulations. I had willingly accepted, desperate to buy the love that should have been freely given. I quietly closed the window, trapping the cold air inside along with my devastating new understanding. My vision blurred with unshed tears as I mechanically continued basting the turkey. The knife I used to chop herbs felt dangerously comfortable in my shaking hand. What would happen if I confronted them now? Walked outside and exposed their scheme? The fantasy flashed through my mind, but reality quickly squelched it. A lifetime of peacekeeping held me in its grip. The back door opened and closed. Footsteps approached the kitchen. I busied myself with the cranberry sauce, stirring more vigorously than necessary. "Something smells amazing in here," my mother announced, her voice warm with false enthusiasm. How had I never noticed the artificial quality before? "You always were the best cook in the family. You get that from my side, you know." I couldn't look at her. "Thanks. Dinner will be ready at 6. Amanda sauntered in, snatching a cookie from the plate I'd prepared for guests. Wow, Martha Stewart would be impressed, though these cookies could use more vanilla. The criticism that would have wounded me hours ago now felt inconsequential. The magnitude of their betrayal made these small jabs seem like mosquito bites, compared to the knife they had plunged into my back. "Megan, you look flushed," Aunt Catherine observed. "The kitchen's like an oven in here." "I'm fine," I managed. Though I was anything but fine. My entire world had just imploded, yet somehow I had to continue preparing Christmas Eve dinner with my fraudulent family. Tyler entered, offering genuine help. "Can I do anything? Set the table, maybe?" His kindness nearly broke my composure. I nodded mutely, pointing to where I'd stored the holiday dinnerware. At least one person in this house wasn't plotting against me. The next few hours passed in a surreal blur. I excused myself to the bathroom 4 times, once to splash cold water on my face, twice to silently cry, and once to text Olivia. "They're using me for money, all of them. Overheard everything. Don't know what to do." Her response was immediate. "Those vipers want me to come over? You shouldn't be alone with them." "No," I texted back. "Need time to think. Call you later." When I returned to the living room, Amanda was in full performance mode, regaling everyone with stories of her challenging job at the boutique where she worked part-time. "My boss totally relies on me. Says I have an eye for fashion that can't be taught." My mother beamed with pride. "Amanda has always had natural talent. Remember when she won that art contest in 4th grade? The contest where my science project took first place at the state level the same weekend, but nobody came because Amanda needed support for her local art show?" I thought bitterly. I'd never spoken this truth aloud, but now the memory resurfaced with perfect clarity. "Dinner's ready," I announced, interrupting their mutual admiration society. The dining table, set with my grandmother's china and crystal glasses I'd purchased specifically for this occasion, looked like a picture from a holiday magazine. Candles flickered in sterling silver holders. The turkey, golden brown and perfectly roasted, commanded center stage amid side dishes arranged artfully in serving bowls. "This looks wonderful, Megan," Tyler said sincerely. "Absolutely beautiful presentation," my mother agreed with practiced enthusiasm. "Though the table runner is a bit much with the patterned plates, don't you think?" I caught Amanda and my mother exchanging a glance. The extra compliments strategy was in full effect. Each time they praised something, I silently translated, "Your money will soon be ours." Throughout dinner, I noticed every subtle manipulation. Amanda mentioning how stressful it was living with renovation noise. My mother detailing unexpected expenses that had arisen with the contractors. Aunt Catherine asking pointed questions about my investments and retirement accounts. "So, Megan," Amanda said as we moved to dessert, "I've been developing that business plan I told you about. The startup costs are higher than expected, but the potential returns are amazing." I cut a slice of pumpkin pie with surgical precision. "What exactly are the startup costs going toward?" My question, more direct than my usual pliable responses, caused a flicker of surprise on Amanda's face. "Well, equipment, website development, marketing, business stuff." "Business stuff," I repeated flatly. "Sounds comprehensive." An awkward silence fell. My mother quickly stepped in, The pie is delicious, Megan. You'll have to give me the recipe. It's Grandma's recipe, I replied. The same one she gave you 20 years ago. Another uncomfortable pause. Tyler cleared his throat. So, shall we do gifts after dessert? The gift exchange that followed was exactly as I'd expected. My carefully selected presents were met with polite but underwhelming responses. The cashmere sweater for my mother earned a tepid, "Oh, blue again. You know I've been wearing more purple lately, but this is nice." Amanda barely glanced at the expensive drawing tablet. "Thanks. This could come in handy someday." Their gifts to me were predictably impersonal. A generic scented candle from Amanda and Tyler, a gift card to a department store from my mother. Aunt Catherine at least gave me a book she thought I might enjoy, showing marginally more effort. After gifts, we watched a Christmas movie, during which I caught my mother and sister texting each other several times, though they sat merely feet apart. Planning tomorrow's financial ambush, no doubt. As everyone prepared for bed in my guest rooms, I found myself standing in my kitchen, staring at the window that had changed everything. How different this night would have been had I never opened it. I would have continued believing the facade, continued funding their lives, continued seeking approval that would never genuinely come. Lying awake in my bed, I replayed childhood memories through this new, painful lens of understanding. The time Amanda accidentally spilled punch on my prom dress, forcing me to miss the dance. Was that because I'd been nominated for prom court and she hadn't? The summer, my mother insisted I work 2 jobs instead of attending a prestigious academic camp I'd earned a scholarship to. Had that been to ensure I could contribute to household expenses while Amanda attended an expensive arts program? The pattern was clear now. For 20 years, I had been manipulated, used, and dismissed by the people who should have loved me most. Tomorrow was Christmas Day. Tomorrow they would make their financial moves. Tomorrow would reveal what kind of person I had truly become. I woke at dawn on Christmas morning, my eyes gritty from unshed tears and lack of sleep. The house was quiet, my family still slumbering in their guest rooms. Standing at my bedroom window, I watched the sun rise over suburban rooftops dusted with frost. The peaceful scene contrasted sharply with the turmoil inside me. Today would be different. Today I would not silently absorb their manipulations. The question was how to confront people who had manipulated me so successfully for decades. In the kitchen, I prepared coffee and started breakfast preparations on autopilot. French toast had been our Christmas morning tradition since childhood. As I whisked eggs with cinnamon and vanilla, I recalled Christmas mornings past. There was the year I'd given up my own Christmas list so Amanda could get the expensive dollhouse she wanted. The year I'd worked overnight shifts at a convenience store to buy my mother the designer handbag that now sat unused in her closet, because it wasn't the exact model she'd hoped for. I'd been so pathetically eager for scraps of approval that I'd never questioned why I was always the giver and rarely the receiver. Even when I did receive, the gifts were afterthoughts, while I spent months selecting perfect presents for them. The smell of coffee and frying bread eventually lured my family from their rooms. Amanda appeared first, hair perfectly tousled in that deliberately messy way that actually required significant effort. "Morning," she yawned, helping herself to coffee. "You're up early." "Couldn't sleep," I replied truthfully. My mother arrived next, already dressed and made up as if expecting. "Photographers. Merry Christmas, girls. The French toast smells wonderful, Megan." Aunt Catherine and Tyler joined us, and soon everyone was seated around the breakfast table. The morning light streamed through the windows, illuminating the scene like a deceptive holiday card. Family gathered together, smiling, passing syrup, the picture of seasonal harmony. I took a deliberate sip of coffee and said, "I've been thinking about the renovation project." The atmosphere shifted subtly. My mother and Amanda exchanged a quick glance before my mother replied, "Oh, it's coming along wonderfully. The contractor says it should be finished by February. assuming the remaining payments are made on schedule. Interesting? I nodded, maintaining eye contact longer than usual. And the mold issue? Was it as extensive as initially feared? A flicker of uncertainty crossed my mother's face. Well, you know these old houses. Better safe than sorry. Absolutely, I agreed. Safety first, especially when someone else is paying for it. Amanda nearly choked on her coffee. My mother's smile tightened fractionally. What's that supposed to mean? Amanda asked, a defensive edge to her voice. I shrugged. Just making conversation about the renovation. After all, I'm invested in the outcome. $50,000 invested, to be precise. You offered to help, my mother said quickly. That's what family does. Yes, I replied evenly. Family helps each other. Family is honest with each other too, wouldn't you say? The tension around the table was palpable now. Tyler looked confused, glancing between me and Amanda. Aunt Catherine studied her plate with sudden interest. Megan, did something happen? My mother asked, adopting a concerned expression. You seem off this morning. Rather than answering directly, I turned to Amanda. How's that business plan coming along? The one you need? Startup capital for? What exactly is the business model again? Amanda flushed slightly. It's complicated. I told you, it's a graphic design consultancy with an e-commerce component. Sounds impressive, I nodded. I'd love to see the detailed projection spreadsheets. Later. Being a financial analyst, I could probably offer some valuable input. It's Christmas, my mother interjected smoothly. Let's not talk business today. Megan, why don't you open the gift from me again? I included a gift receipt in case the color isn't right. The transparent attempt to distract me, to push me back into my compliant role, might have worked yesterday. Today it only strengthened my resolve. Actually, I said, standing up, I need to finish preparing Christmas dinner. Excuse me. In the kitchen, I leaned against the counter, heart racing. The subtle jabs had been exhilarating in a way I'd never experienced. For the first time, I was pushing back, however obliquely. The fear in their eyes when I mentioned wanting to see business details confirmed everything I had overheard. I had just put the ham in the oven when I heard movement from the direction of my home office. Curious, I quietly made my way down the hallway. The door was ajar, and inside I could see my mother and sister going through the papers on my desk. My aunt stood lookout in the hallway but hadn't noticed my approach. What exactly are you looking for? I asked calmly. All three women startled. My mother recovered first. Amanda lost an earring. We thought it might have fallen when we put our coats in here yesterday. An earring, I repeated, looking pointedly at the financial documents in Amanda's hand. In my filing cabinet? Megan, this isn't what it looks like, my mother began. Really? Because it looks like you're going through my financial documents without permission. Don't be paranoid, Amanda scoffed, though she hastily replaced the papers. We were just curious about what a financial analyst does. You're always so secretive about your work. Let's discuss this in the living room, I suggested, my voice surprisingly steady despite the adrenaline coursing through me. Once gathered there, an awkward silence fell. Tyler joined us, clearly sensing the tension. Is everything okay? He asked. Actually, no, I replied. I just found my mother, sister, and aunt going through confidential financial documents in my office. We explained that, my mother said dismissively. A misunderstanding. Now, about the renovation payments, I was thinking we should discuss the timeline for the remaining funds. The contractor is eager to resume work after the holidays. The abrupt pivot to money matters confirmed everything. No more pretense about family bonding or Christmas spirit. With the scheme potentially exposed, she was moving directly to securing the funds. Funny you should mention that, I said. I was just wondering about the exact breakdown of renovation costs. $50,000 seems quite high for mold remediation in one bathroom. My mother's expression hardened slightly. There were complications, structural issues. What kind of structural issues specifically? I pressed. Megan, I don't understand these technical details. That's why we hire professionals, she replied, irritation seeping into her tone. Maybe I should speak directly to the contractor then, I suggested. What's the company name again? A panicked look flashed between my mother and sister. Amanda jumped in. Why are you being so difficult? Mom needs your help and you're acting like she's trying to scam you or something. Am I? I asked quietly. Acting like that? This is ridiculous, my mother declared. After everything I've done for you, the sacrifices I've made as a single mother, now you're questioning my integrity? The familiar guilt trip that had worked countless times before. I felt its pull, the deeply ingrained response to apologize, to back down, to preserve peace at all costs. Instead, I said, What sacrifices exactly, Mom? I'm genuinely curious, because from where I'm standing, I was the one who sacrificed. My childhood, my graduation ceremony, countless opportunities, not to mention tens of thousands of dollars over the years. How dare you? My mother gasped. I gave you everything. No, I countered, my voice gaining strength. I gave you everything. And Amanda. And it was never enough, was it? Amanda stood up, her face flushed with anger. You're just jealous because Mom always loved me more. Don't pretend this martyr act is anything but resentment. The brutal honesty of her statement hung in the air. There it was, finally spoken aloud. The dynamic that had shaped our family for decades, acknowledged at last. You're right about one thing, Amanda, I said, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. Mom always did love you more, but that's not why I'm upset right now. Then what's your problem? Amanda demanded. Why are you ruining Christmas with this? Interrogation? I took a deep breath. The moment of truth had arrived. I opened the kitchen window yesterday while preparing dinner. You were in the backyard with Mom and Aunt Catherine. I heard everything. The color drained from my sister's face. My mother went perfectly still, a statue of denial preparing its defense. Aunt Catherine looked away, unable to meet my eyes. I don't know what you think you heard, my mother began carefully. Let me refresh your memory, I interrupted. I can't believe we're spending Christmas with that loser. That was Amanda. Then you replied, just until she pays for the house. Renovation. And Amanda added, I'm ready to take her share too. Complete silence followed my recitation. Tyler looked between Amanda and me, shock evident on his face. You said that about your sister? He asked Amanda. She's taking it out of context. Amanda protested weakly. Then please, provide the context, I invited. Explain how calling me a loser and discussing how to take my money could possibly be misinterpreted. You were eavesdropping on a private conversation, my mother accused, shifting to offense as her best defense. In my own kitchen, in my own home, where I was cooking Christmas dinner for all of you, I countered. And that's what concerns you? That I overheard your schemes, not that you were scheming in the first place? We weren't scheming, Aunt Catherine interjected, finally finding her voice. Family finances are complicated, Megan. You're being oversensitive. Am I? Then let's talk about the $50,000 for renovation. Amanda mentioned that the actual cost was $30,000, with $20,000 going toward her trip to Bali. Is that being oversensitive or is that being defrauded by my own family? My mother stepped forward, tears suddenly streaming down her perfectly made-up face. I can't believe you would speak to me this way at Christmas. After everything I've done for you. This is how you repay maternal love? With accusations and hostility? Tears that once would have devastated me, sent me backpedaling with apologies, now left me unmoved. I recognized the performance for what it was, emotional manipulation, the favored weapon in my mother's arsenal. Save the waterworks, Mom, I said quietly. They don't work anymore. You're spying on us, twisting our words, and now you're being cruel to your mother, Amanda accused. This is exactly why we... She stopped abruptly. Why you what? I prompted. Why you only tolerate me for financial support? Why you laugh behind my back? Why you sabotaged my college graduation? That was years ago, my mother protested. You're bringing up ancient history to distract from your behavior now. My behavior? I laughed incredulously. I welcomed you into my home. I spent hundreds of dollars on gifts you clearly don't appreciate. I cooked for days to create a perfect Christmas, all while you were plotting to extract more money from me under false pretenses. It wasn't like that, my mother insisted. Then what was it like? Explain it to me. Explain how deliberately preventing me from attending my own graduation ceremony was an act of love. Explain how lying about renovation costs is just complicated family finances. No one spoke. The Christmas tree lights blinked in the silence, colorful pulses highlighting the tension frozen on everyone's faces. Tyler broke the standoff. Amanda, did you really say those things about Megan, about the renovation money? Amanda glared at him. Stay out of this. It's family business. I think I've heard enough to understand the family business, Tyler replied, his expression hardening. I can't believe I didn't see it before. My mother switched tactics, her voice softening to the gentle tone she used when requesting favors. Megan, sweetheart, perhaps we've had some misunderstandings. Every family has its issues, but it's Christmas. Can't we set this aside and enjoy our time together? We can discuss finances after the holiday. That's exactly what this is about. For you, isn't it? I realized aloud. Finances, not family, not love, not genuine connection, just what you can get from me. Years of suppressed emotions suddenly broke through the dam I'd constructed. Tears filled my eyes, but not tears of submission or defeat. These were tears of raw truth. Do you have any idea what it's been like? My voice cracked. Always being the responsible one? Always giving and giving, hoping that eventually it would be enough to make you actually value me? I helped raise Amanda. I worked multiple jobs in high school so you could maintain your lifestyle after the divorce. I paid Amanda's college tuition when her scholarships fell through. I turned to my sister. I was there for every crisis, every breakup, every financial emergency. I put my social life on hold countless times to be your emotional support. And behind my back, you call me a loser? You plan ways to extract more money from me? Amanda had the grace to look uncomfortable, though defiance still flashed in her eyes. I just wanted a real family, I continued, the words pouring out after decades of containment. I thought if I just tried harder, gave more, achieved more, eventually you would see me. Really see me, not just what I could provide. My mother started to speak, but I held up my hand. I'm not finished. I've listened to your manipulations for 35 years. You can give me 5 minutes. To my surprise, she fell silent. When I was 16, I continued, I won a statewide academic competition. The prize included a college scholarship. I ran all the way home to tell you, Mom. You were on the phone with Amanda's dance teacher discussing costume options. You waved me away without even looking up. Later, when I tried again to share my news, you said, That's nice, Megan, but we need to focus on Amanda's recital this weekend. That's not fair, my mother protested. I was a single working mother trying to juggle everything. You were a mother with 2 daughters, consistently prioritizing one over the other, I corrected. Every accomplishment of mine was minimized. Every need I had was secondary. And yet, I kept trying, kept hoping that eventually I would matter as much as Amanda. The Christmas dinner I'd prepared sat forgotten in the kitchen. The turkey was probably drying out, the sides growing cold. None of it mattered. The saddest part, I continued, my voice quieter now, is that until yesterday, I still believed. There was love beneath the manipulation. I told myself you took advantage because you were desperate, not because you didn't care. Now I know better. The doorbell rang, startling everyone. I wiped my eyes and went to answer it, grateful for the momentary escape from the emotional battlefield of my living room. Olivia stood on my doorstep, concern written across her face. I couldn't stop thinking about your text. I brought reinforcements. She held up a bottle of wine. Her presence was like oxygen to a drowning person. Perfect timing, I whispered, pulling her into a quick hug. That bad? She murmured. Worse, I confirmed, leading her into the living room where my family sat in. Uncomfortable silence. Olivia's arrival shifted the energy in the room. She'd known my family for years but had always maintained a polite distance, seeing through their facade long before I could. Her presence beside me felt like armor. Olivia, my mother greeted, with brittle cheer. What an unexpected surprise. Megan didn't mention you were joining us. Last-minute decision, Olivia replied coolly. Megan needed support. We were just having a family discussion, my mother explained, emphasizing family to establish Olivia as an outsider. I gathered, Olivia said, settling beside me on the couch. Megan texted me yesterday about what she overheard. Amanda shot me a betrayed look. You told her our private conversation? That's so like you, Megan, running to your friend to paint us as villains. I didn't have to paint anything, I replied calmly. Your own words did that perfectly. With Olivia's steadying presence, I felt a new resolve crystallizing within me. For too long, I had allowed myself to be manipulated, guilted, and used. That ended today. I've made some decisions, I announced. My tone must have conveyed something new, because everyone, even Amanda, paid attention. First, regarding the renovation project. My mother leaned forward eagerly. Financial concerns, temporarily overriding the family drama. I will not be providing any additional funds, I stated flatly. But you promised, my mother gasped. The contractor is waiting for the next payment. We've already scheduled the work. I promised based on false information, I corrected. You claimed $50,000 was needed for mold remediation. According to Amanda, the actual renovation cost is $30,000, with $20,000 intended for her vacation. That's not... Amanda was exaggerating, my mother stumbled. The full amount is absolutely necessary. Then you'll have no problem providing me with the contractor's detailed estimate, receipts for work already completed, and contact information so I can speak with them directly, I replied. My mother's silence confirmed everything. As I thought, I nodded. Furthermore, I spoke with my attorney last week about estate planning. This was a lie, but a strategic one. I've made changes to ensure my financial assets are protected, including any inheritance from Grandma's trust. Amanda's head snapped. Up. What are you talking about? I overheard that part too, I explained. Your plans to access my portion of Grandma's inheritance through your fake business proposal. Tyler stood abruptly. Amanda, is this true? You were planning to scam your own sister? It's not a scam, Amanda protested. I do want to start a business, eventually. After Bali, I added dryly. Tyler shook his head, disgust evident on his face. I can't do this anymore. I thought I knew who you were, Amanda, but clearly I was wrong. What are you saying? Amanda demanded. I'm saying I'm not staying in this toxic situation. I'll get a hotel for tonight and figure out the rest later. He turned to me. Megan, I'm sorry. For what it's worth, I had no idea about any of this. I believe you, I said sincerely, and I appreciate your honesty. Tyler left to pack his overnight bag, leaving Amanda staring after him in shock. For perhaps the first time in her adult life, her actions had actual consequences. Aunt Catherine, who had remained largely silent during the confrontation, finally spoke. Megan, while I understand you're upset, don't you think you're being a bit extreme? Breaking up your sister's relationship over a misunderstanding? I didn't break up anything, I replied. Amanda's behavior did that. And this isn't a misunderstanding. It's a pattern of exploitation that I've finally recognized. My mother, seeing her plans crumbling, resorted to her most reliable tactic: health concerns. My blood pressure, she murmured, pressing a hand to her forehead. I feel faint. This stress isn't good for my condition. In the past, this performance would have sent me scrambling for water, pillows, and immediate capitulation. Today, I simply said, the guest bathroom has a fully stocked medicine cabinet if you need something for your blood pressure. Olivia suppressed a smile beside me. I can't believe you're being so heartless, my mother hissed, the faint spell miraculously passing. After everything I've sacrificed for you. Let's talk about those sacrifices, I suggested. Name 3 significant things you've sacrificed specifically for my benefit. Not Amanda's, not the family's as a whole, but specifically to support my growth or happiness. My mother opened her mouth, then closed it. For once in her life, she seemed genuinely speechless. That's what I thought. I nodded. Now let me tell you my new financial plan. The money I had set aside for the remaining renovation, it's going into my therapy fund, because God knows I need it after decades of this dysfunctional relationship. The investment I was considering for Amanda's business, that's now earmarked for a vacation. For me. Alone. You can't just cancel financial commitments, my mother protested. We're counting on that money. I made no legal commitments, I clarified. I made promises based on emotional manipulation and false information. Those promises are now null and void. Amanda, recovering from Tyler's departure, turned her anger toward me. This is so typical. You're punishing us because you're jealous of the bond Mom and I have. You've always resented me. No, Amanda, I sighed. I've always loved you. That's the tragedy here. I genuinely wanted you to succeed, to be happy. I just finally realized that my resources will never be enough to fill the void in you that constantly needs validation and material things. How dare you psychoanalyze me? Amanda snapped. Just because you make more money doesn't make you better than me. This isn't about money, I explained patiently. It's about respect, basic human decency. Not calling your sister a loser while eating food she prepared in her home. Olivia stood up suddenly. Megan, is that Christmas dinner I smell? Is it ready? The abrupt change of subject momentarily threw everyone. I nodded, grateful for her redirection. Yes, everything should be done. Great, Olivia smiled. What are your plans for it? I understood her question immediately. She was offering me an exit strategy, a way to conclude this confrontation on my terms. I think I'll pack it up, I decided aloud. The local shelter always needs meals, especially during the holidays. What? My mother exclaimed. You prepared that dinner for family. Yes, I agreed, for people who actually care about me beyond what I can provide materially. It seems I need to reconsider who falls into that category. The implications hung heavily in the air. You're asking us to leave, my mother realized. On Christmas Day. I'm establishing boundaries, I corrected. Something I should have done years ago. You're welcome to stay if you can respect those boundaries and acknowledge the manipulation. Otherwise, yes, I think it would be best if you left. Amanda stood up, rage coloring her cheeks. Fine. We don't need your charity or your judgmental attitude. Come on, Mom, Aunt Catherine. We'll go to a hotel. My mother hesitated, suddenly realizing that the financial well had run dry. Megan, surely we can discuss this reasonably. Families have disagreements, but cutting ties is so extreme. I'm not cutting ties, I clarified. I'm changing the nature of our relationship. No more financial support. No more allowing myself to be manipulated or devalued. If you want a relationship with me moving forward, it will be built on mutual respect, or not at all. The ultimatum hung in the air between us. For a moment, I saw something shift in my mother's eyes, a flicker of recognition, perhaps even regret. Then Amanda tugged at her arm. "Mom, let's go. She's being ridiculous." The moment passed. My mother's expression hardened once more. "I never thought my own daughter would throw her family out at Christmas. What would your father think?" "He'd probably think I should have done this years ago," I replied, surprising myself with the confidence in my voice. "He left because of your manipulations too, remember?" That struck a nerve. My mother gathered her dignity around her like an invisible cloak. "We'll collect our things. Catherine, are you coming with us or siding with this Yudi betrayal?" Aunt Catherine glanced between us, clearly calculating which option would benefit her most. "I think I'll stay at a hotel tonight. Give everyone space to cool down." As they left to pack, Olivia helped me begin packing the untouched Christmas dinner. "You okay?" she asked quietly. "No," I admitted. "But I will be. For the first time in a long time, I think I actually will be." Tyler emerged from the guest room with his bag. "I called an Uber," he told me. "Megan, for what it's worth, I'm sorry. I had no idea this was going on." "You have nothing to apologize for," I assured him. "I hope you can build something healthier with your family eventually," he said. "But from what I've seen today, you're right to set boundaries." After he left, my mother, sister, and aunt descended the stairs with their luggage. The departure was as tense and awkward as one might expect. Amanda refused to look at me, storming out to wait in the car. My aunt mumbled something about cooling, off periods, before hurrying after her. My mother paused at the door. "This isn't over, Megan. Families fight, but blood is thicker than water." "Actually," Olivia interjected, "the full saying is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. It means chosen bonds are stronger than family ties. Interesting, isn't it?" My mother's lips thinned. "Always the know-it-all, Olivia. I see where Megan gets her attitude." "Goodbye, Mom," I said firmly. "Merry Christmas." I closed the door behind her, leaning against it as 35 years of tension began to release from my shoulders. The house suddenly seemed quieter, cleaner somehow, as if a fog had lifted. "Well," Olivia said, raising an eyebrow, "that was quite the Christmas drama." Despite everything, I found myself laughing. Understatement of the year. The aroma of roasting turkey filled my kitchen once again, but everything else about this Christmas was different. Christmas music played softly through speakers as I arranged appetizers on a serving tray. Voices and laughter drifted from the living room where my guests were gathering. "Need any help in here?" Olivia asked, entering with an empty wine glass. "Just about done," I smiled, adding a final garnish to the platter. "How's everyone doing?" "Having a great time," she reported, refilling her glass. "Paul is showing everyone photos from your trip to Colorado last month." Paul, the kind and straightforward accountant I'd been dating for 6 months, had fit seamlessly into my reconfigured life. We'd met in a cooking class I'd joined as part of my rediscovery tour, as my therapist called it. "Perfect timing," I nodded, picking up the tray. "Dinner's in 30 minutes. In the living room, a scene of genuine warmth greeted me. Paul sat on the sofa beside 2 colleagues from my office who had nowhere to go for the holidays. My downstairs neighbor, an elderly widow named Eleanor, was admiring the tree with Olivia's brother Mark. Tyler, who had remained friends with me after breaking up with Amanda, chatted with his new girlfriend by the fireplace. These were my chosen family. People who valued me for who I was, not what I could provide financially. People who showed up reciprocally, bringing dishes to share, offering genuine compliments, listening when I spoke. As I set down the appetizers, my phone buzzed with a text message. My mother's name appeared on the screen. Since last Christmas, our contact had been minimal and strictly on my terms. No financial requests allowed, no emotional manipulation tolerated. Everything okay? Paul asked, noticing my expression. Just, my mother, I explained. Her usual Christmas text. After the confrontation last year, much had changed. I had begun therapy, focusing on breaking the patterns that had allowed me to be exploited for so long. I had traveled alone for the first time, taking that vacation I had promised myself. I had joined social groups and cultivated new friendships based on mutual respect rather than utility. My mother and sister had struggled with the new boundaries. Initially, there were angry calls, guilt trips, even showing up unannounced at my office once. I remained firm. Eventually, faced with the reality that the Bank of Megan was permanently closed, they had adapted in their own ways. Amanda had actually gotten a full-time job and moved in with roommates. My mother had downsized to a smaller home that she could actually afford. Our relationships remained distant but civil. Occasional text messages and brief phone calls on birthdays and holidays. Aunt Catherine, surprisingly, had made more effort to connect with me independently. After reflecting on her role in the family dynamic, she had apologized sincerely. While we weren't close, we had managed a few pleasant lunch meetings over the year. I excused myself to the kitchen to read my mother's message privately. Merry Christmas, Megan. Thinking of you today. Dinner at Catherine's going well. Your sister got the promotion she mentioned. Hope you're doing well. No guilt trip, no financial inquiry. Progress, however small. I typed back, Merry Christmas, to you too. Glad to hear about Amanda's promotion. Enjoying dinner with friends. Take care. Setting the phone aside, I returned to the living room where Paul had started distributing the appetizers. He caught my eye and winked, a simple gesture that contained more genuine affection than I'd received from my family in decades. After dinner, as everyone helped with cleanup, I found myself standing by the kitchen window, the same window that had changed everything a year ago. Opening it slightly, I let the crisp December air fill my lungs. The backyard was peaceful, decorated with twinkling lights I had hung myself. Later, as guests departed with warm hugs and sincere thanks, I sat, with Olivia and Paul in the calm aftermath, nursing one final glass of wine. I have something for you, Olivia said, pulling an envelope from her purse. Open it now. Inside was a card containing 2 plane tickets to Italy for spring break. We're splitting it 3 ways, she explained. Me, Paul, and you. No arguments. You've saved enough enabling your family over the years to afford some actual joy. Tears pricked my eyes. I don't know what to say. Say you'll come. Paul smiled, squeezing my hand. You deserve this, Megan. Looking at their expectant faces, I felt a wave of gratitude so powerful it momentarily took my breath away. This was what genuine love looked like. Not manipulation. Not exploitation. Not conditional approval based on what I could provide. There's something I've been working on in therapy, I told them, setting down my wine glass. A letter to my younger self. I finally finished it yesterday. I retrieved the letter from my desk drawer and read it aloud. Dear younger Megan, you are enough, just as you are. Your worth isn't measured by how much you give, how much you sacrifice, or how much you achieve. The people who truly love you will never make you feel like you must earn their affection. The road ahead has difficult lessons, but I promise you'll emerge stronger. You'll learn that family isn't just about blood, but about who shows up for you consistently with respect and care. Most importantly, you'll discover that setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's necessary. Those who get angry when you set boundaries are precisely the ones who benefited from you having none. Your journey to self-worth won't be easy, but it will be worth it. One day, you'll look around at the life you've built and realize that by closing doors to those who depleted you, you opened windows to those who enrich you. With love and the wisdom of experience, your future self. Paul wiped a tear from his eye. Olivia hugged me tightly. I'm still learning, I admitted. Still figuring out what healthy relationships look like. But for the first time, I'm excited about that journey rather than exhausted by it. The Christmas tree lights glowed softly in the corner, reflecting off ornaments I had selected simply because they brought me joy. My home, once a stage for performative family connection, had become a genuine sanctuary. That painful Christmas confrontation had ultimately given me the greatest gift: freedom to discover my true worth beyond what I could provide to others. The family I had built around me now wasn't perfect, but it was authentic. And that made all the difference. What about you? Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with loved ones to protect your own well-being? I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments below. If my story resonated with you, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to me as I continue sharing these life journeys. Thank you for listening. And remember that sometimes the hardest conversations lead to the most beautiful beginnings.